2 days since somebody allegedly tried to kill Donald Trump again. And you're here at the podium in the White House briefing room calling him a threat.
President Biden has been clear-eyed about the threat that the former president represents to our democracy.
How many more assassination attempts on Donald Trump until the president and the vice president and you pick a different word to describe Trump other than threat?
Peter, if anything from this administration, I actually completely disagree with the premise of your question, the question that you're asking. It is also incredibly dangerous in the way that you're asking it, because American people are watching. And to say that from an administration who has consistently condemned political violence, from an administration where the president called the former president and was thankful, grateful that he was okay, from an administration who has called out January 6th, called out the attack of Paul Pelosi, called out and said we need to lower the temperature after the Butler incident, and now for you to make that kind of comment in your question, because your question involved a comment and a statement. And, it is, that is also incredibly dangerous.
All right, guys, we have to continue our conversation and the coverage of the mainstream liberal media's reaction, their unhinged reaction to the second failed assassination attempt on former President Trump in 2 months, right? Something that we have never seen him before in this country, right? It is unprecedented, the amount of hate and vitriol that is being directed towards former President Trump. And there are some people in the media who are reacting the right way to this, and there are some people who are reacting the wrong way to it, okay? Very few people are reacting the right way, but the wrong way is what most of the media is currently doing, okay? They are deflecting. They don't want to have a conversation about their rhetoric and the things that they say that have contributed to this, despite the fact that we know that the second would-be assassin was inspired and motivated by the same rhetoric that the Democrat Party spews on a day-to-day basis about Trump being a threat to democracy, okay? We know this for a fact, okay? And there's some people still in denial about it. And then there's others that basically say, well, it is dangerous to point out the fact that this guy was inspired by our rhetoric. And it is dangerous to say that our rhetoric is threatening towards the former president's life, right? When, again, we have pretty strong evidence that that is the case, okay? We have 2 failed assassination attempts against the guy. Again, that is how people like Cringe Jean-Pierre deflect, okay? They basically say, well, what you're saying is dangerous. What it really means is that what you're saying is probably true, and it makes us look bad, so therefore it's dangerous, right? I mean, that's how you interpret Democrats anytime they say that rhetoric from the GOP or some accusation from the GOP is dangerous, right? Questions are dangerous. Basically, what it means is that question makes us look bad, right? I can't give you a good answer, so therefore the question is dangerous, okay? And then you have some people, like, for example, the Cacklehands on The View, people like Sunny Holston, who is extremely Trump deranged. She says that, well, we should be able to spew our rhetoric, okay, towards Trump, and it doesn't matter if it incites violence against him, because what we're saying are facts, right? We're stating facts, therefore, we should be allowed to say whatever we want to say, even though it's not really a fact.
Can I reframe the conversation in a sense? Because they're saying the Democrats, the left side has to stop the rhetoric. And I think what we need to reframe this is, what is rhetoric and what is fact? It is fine for you to say Donald Trump's plan is not a conceptual plan. It's Project 2025. That is not rhetoric. If you say something like Donald Trump started an insurrection, that is not rhetoric. That is just a fact. If you say Donald Trump is an election denier, Donald Trump is a convicted felon, Donald Trump is a twice impeached loser, that is not rhetoric. Those are facts. And so when you compare the definition of rhetoric and the definition of a fact, which is a thing that is known or proved to be true, then I think that makes this all the more clear for people. Well, and when you see that clip of J.D. Vance, you know, That has been completely debunked. He was lying when he said this person, one of my constituents said it. The person that started this, she erased her Facebook post. She then admitted that she heard from a friend of a friend of a friend of a friend, and she admitted it was a lie.
Yeah.
So he apologized for it. So he knows it's a lie, yet he gets on national television and uses rhetoric.
And it's also
fact.
like fake.
Yeah, so saying that Project 2025 is Trump's plan is not a fact, right? That's just actually wrong. That's a lie, okay? It's not even a matter of opinion, really. I mean, that's just factually incorrect because he says that is not my plan, right? Also, on top of that, saying that Trump incited an insurrection is also not a fact because nobody's been charged with an insurrection, right? Nobody's been charged with an act of insurrection. If nobody's been charged with that, if nobody's been held criminally accountable for it, then how can you say as a fact that Trump incited an insurrection? Again, that's not a fact. That's a matter of opinion, okay? And she's basically trying to say that, well, my opinion is fact, right? This is what they're doing, okay? This is what Democrats are doing. They're trying to change the definition of words, okay, in order to fit what they feel like they should have the ability to do, which is to incite violence against the president, which is something that we know they have done, okay, considering the circumstances here. And they're really struggling to play defense, right? You can tell. Corinne Jean-Pierre says, well, if you question me about this, you're dangerous. Sonny Holston says, well, what we're saying is factual, even though it's not, right? They are struggling, right? They know that, hey, we're on the defense because we can see the real world consequences of the things that we say, okay? And we really don't care about the former president's life or anything like that. So we have to justify continuing to say these things, even though we know that these things have real world consequences. So yeah, those are the people that are reacting the wrong way. But you do have some people, one individual in the media who used to be in the mainstream liberal media, who used to be able to see it in, Chris Cuomo. He is reacting the right way with an apology to the former president, which is something that I think a vast majority of the mainstream liberal media should be doing right now, but they refuse to do because they don't care about the livelihood of the former president or whether or not he is well protected, right? So I want to react to Chris Cuomo's apology, but speaking of protection, I have to tell you guys how to protect yourself online, and that is why the sponsor of this video is Aura. Today's video is sponsored by Aura, and now is a very important time to be talking about them because hackers may have stole the social security numbers of every American. Over 2.9 billion records were stolen from national public data, which provides information to employers, staffers, recruiting agencies, and others doing background checks. These stolen records include a person's full name, date of birth, address, and most importantly, their social security number. And members of this hacker group have reportedly released this information online for free, which is insane to think about and kind of makes me uncomfortable, to be honest with you guys. So if you haven't been taking precautions with your personal information online before, now should be a wake-up call because you've never been more vulnerable online than you are right now. But me personally, I'm not too worried because I use Aura. Aura monitors your personal data, such as your social security number, across billions of data points, including the dark web and public court records, and alert you on any potential identity theft. They will give you up to $5 million in identity theft insurance should the worst case scenario happen. They also provide you a bunch of other features to keep you safe online, all included in one app. You can go to my link at aura.com/BCP to get a 14-day free trial, and that is just enough time for Aura to figure out if any of your data has been exposed. I highly recommend you do this now because national public data is not going to do anything to help you out, and they're definitely not going to face any repercussions for allowing this leak. I'm not leaving myself or my family open to data breaches, and I don't think that you should either. So if you want to give it a try, you can go to aura.com/BCP to try 2 weeks for free.
What you want about Trump, he does not have many more full-throated critics of what he says and does than me, okay? And yet I called him today because I am ashamed of how we are responding and not responding to the threats on him. And I feel for his family. And I know you can roll your eyes and say, oh, yeah, he asked for it. Listen, that's your choice, and I think it's a wrong choice, okay?
Yeah, that's the choice that most people in the mainstream liberal media are doing, right? They're rolling their eyes and they're basically saying that Trump caused this. Well, Trump bought it on himself. He deserved it. So therefore, right, we're not going to stop our rhetoric and we don't really feel bad about it, right? This is what they're saying. This is essentially the reaction from a vast majority of the people in the mainstream liberal media, including the so-called journalists.
We got to get out of the judgment business unless it's judging ourselves. And you got to start rewarding things that are better. And I got to tell you, I don't know how he stays in the race. I don't know how he got up after being shot in the head. And you people who try to mitigate that, you need to check yourself. He gets up, pumping his fist, stays in the race, barely even talks about it. Now, look, I do believe he has wasted opportunities, and he has another one now. Who better than Trump to say, we can do better? I can do better. I know he keeps doubling down on his angry rhetoric. How can he not? It keeps working for him. I don't know that it gets him elected. My theory is that he needs to expand. He had a chance to do it after he was the target of an assassination at the RNC. He had a chance to say, I know what got me here. It's not going to get me where I want us to be. He did not take that chance. He now has another chance. Oh, you're supporting Trump. I'm supporting us. The idea that I am a Trump supporter is laughable to the man on your screen right now. That is not what this is. I am worried about us. I am ashamed of what's happening around us right now and the relative lack of concern about it. I just don't see how we get anywhere better than where we are right now. Look, I'm not blaming Democrats. I'm really not. I blame the guy. And whatever disease he has that the people around him either knew about and did nothing about. The guy was arrested 20 years ago for barricading himself in a room with all these weapons. Where are we caring about one another? Where are we taking care of our own? Where are we pushing to get help? We're leaving people languishing, dying on the streets. What is going on with us? I don't get it. That's why I reached out to Trump. I wanted to just say, listen, I'm really sorry that this is going on and it's being dealt with this way.
As you should. As you should. See, Chris Cuomo, unlike Don Lemon, who also got fired from CNN, one, has a conscience.
Actually agree, it's going to, I'm sure some people will be surprised by this, by at least the effort, I think it's right to sort of lower the temperature. But for Donald Trump and his folks to say, and J.D. Vance, to say that it's Democrats who are causing this.
Right, you just heard J.D. Vance say that.
That's an issue. I wrote down some notes when I saw it. Do you mind if I read this?
Yeah,
Let me read
no,
this.
because you know what, actually, I want you to know, you were sitting just off,
I was just sitting
set when we played the J.D. Vance.
And I'll just get through some of it. So he's called everyone who works in this building the enemy of the people.
Yep.
Right? We had pipe bombs sent because he kept calling us the enemy of the people, and that CNN was fake news. Crooked Joe, Crooked Hillary, Crooked Kamala, Comrade Kamala, deranged Jack Smith, bird brain Nikki Haley, bloodbath if he's not elected. There won't be another election if he's not elected. Bringing drugs or bringing crime, they're rapists. Poisoning the blood of our country, destroying the blood of our country, which was something that was Hitler-esque. Communist, Marxist, fascist, left-leaning that live like vermin. Sons of bitches to NBA players. Shithole countries. Haiti was one, and now he's blaming Haitian immigrants for things. Blood coming out of her wherever, as he talked about Megyn Kelly. And so if Donald Trump wants Kamala Harris and others to stop saying that he is a threat to democracy, then he should stop threatening democracy. Perhaps he shouldn't be trying to overturn elections, overthrow the government, and inciting insurrections if he doesn't want people to be honest about what he is, who he is, and what he's doing.
So you talk in your book a lot about his support.
Yeah.
And you
Okay. And two, he's actually gotten better, right? I think being away from the mainstream liberal media, being off of CNN, being on NewsNation, I think his perspective has expanded. And here's the thing. I don't agree with everything that Chris Cuomo says, but he's definitely better than he was on CNN. Okay. But the fact that he picked up the phone and called Trump and apologized, it takes a lot of humility. It does. And you want to know how we get back to a place where we don't have so much division? Is if every journalist on ABC, NBC, CBS, MSNBC, CNN, if all of these individuals did the same thing that Chris Cuomo just did, pick up the phone, call the president. I'm sorry to hear about what happened. How's your family? I hope you're doing okay. I wish that this would stop. You do that, and then you go on television and you say that, and you say, listen, we're going to be more fair. We're not going to exaggerate the things that Trump says. We're not going to take them out of context. We're no longer going to be spewing the hate and vitriol that we have been spewing. We're not going to have the one-sided coverage anymore. We're going to be down the middle fair. We're going to actually be journalists. That's how you fix it. Because I'm telling you, a vast majority of this is because of the mainstream liberal media. The amplification of the Democrats in their rhetoric by the media. This is something I talked about earlier today. Because these people are trying to both sides. It's both sides. It's Democrats and Republicans. And they say that as a way to relieve themselves of responsibility. But when you look at the series of violent events that have happened over the past few years, I mean, we had an attempted assassination on a conservative Supreme Court justice. Everybody forgets about that. Everybody forgets about that. You got two happen against Trump, an attempted assassination. All of the left-wing violence that we've seen in this country from these extremist groups on the left. They want to try to make it seem like, both sides are equivalent. There's an equal amount of violence happening. No, there's not. No. It's really a one-side problem at this point, to be quite honest with you. Because let's keep it 100. The right-wing voices that incite violence, they're banned. They don't get the same type of platform that the mainstream liberal media gets, that the Looney Tunes on the left get. See, MSNBC, they routinely platform Looney Tunes. I can think of a bunch of them off the top of my head. Roland Martin, Eli Mastal, a whole bunch of other people. Joy Reid, I mean, she's a Looney Tunes journalist. They platform the Looney Tunes on that news outlet on a daily basis. Fox News doesn't do that, right? They don't do that. Anybody that's really controversial on the right, they're basically banned. They're banned on the internet and they're banned from cable. So to try to make this a both sides thing when you really only have one side of the aisle committing a vast majority of the political violence in this country, is just silly nonsense. So it starts with the left holding themselves accountable and acknowledging, no, there's disproportionately a problem on our side. And we have to address that first before we can even begin to lecture people on the right or conservatives about political violence in this country, because they're not the ones burning down cities every 4 years. Or anytime they don't get their way, they boo-hoo, whine, and cry and riot in the streets. Roe v. Wade was overturned. Right? This is what they do. Cop City, we got a riot. Right? This is what they do. People on the right are not doing that. You don't see that. But you see a lot of it coming from the left. But yet, again, they're trying to tell us that it's both sides. It's just more gaslighting. Until the media realizes that, hey, we are responsible. We have to be more responsible with our coverage. Unfortunately, I don't think there's a solution to this. And they're going out of their way. They're bending over backwards to refuse to do that. To refuse to do what Chris Cuomo is doing right now. Everybody in the mainstream media should be doing exactly what Chris Cuomo is doing right now, if we lived in a sane world. But because we don't, you only got one guy. And he was fired, right? He was fired from the mainstream media, kicked off. And now he's on his other platform that's smaller, that hopefully will be bigger one day. And he's a whole lot better, right? It's amazing how that works. It's amazing.
Not because I'm in favor of his politics or what he says. I criticize him all the time. That's my job. And he deserves it. But he doesn't deserve this. A guy pointing an AK-47 at him while he's playing golf? And we take solace in the fact that the guy didn't get any rounds off. That does not work for me. If I had been through what that guy's been through in the last 2 months, you would not know where I am. You would never see me on TV again.
Yeah, but see, the problem is if Trump doesn't win, he's going to jail, right? So that's the issue. Trump has to stay in the race or else they're going to try to throw him in prison. So, that's the other side of the coin here. Chris. But regardless, again, that's a part of the problem as well, too, the political persecutions, right? That's also part of the division. That's also part of what's going on.
No way I would do that. I don't know how he does it. He's got kids, they're adults, but he's got grandkids. He's got a wife. People giving crap to Melania Trump, worrying about whether or not there was a plot around his husband. How could she not? I don't think she's right, but I totally get why she feels that way, and people mock her.
Yeah, Don Lemon, right? He's speaking to Don Lemon, okay? He's subtweeting Don Lemon. That's what he's doing right now. Good on Chris Cuomo.
And then her husband has a guy pointed with an AK-47. Where are those people apologizing? That's what it's time for. I should not have come at you, Melania Trump, for suggesting that maybe there was something more afoot. I get your paranoia. I get your feelings. You have a right to that. There's nothing wrong with saying that, with being a basic, decent human being. It has gotten too out of control, too far from where we need to be and how we need to be. And I don't know what to do about it. I don't know.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to keep it 100 with you, Chris. This will go a lot further if you actually name some names, because I know who you're talking about. You go and put that name out there because he deserves to be called out. 100%. Don Lemonade deserves to be called out. He was mocking Melania Trump, asking questions about Melania Trump mourning what happened to her husband. These are the same people that criticize Melania Trump. Why isn't Melania out in public more? Well, it's because of stuff like this. When she comes out in public and puts out a message in support of her husband, you guys mock her. So yeah, I don't blame her for not wanting to be in the spotlight. I don't blame her at all. So again, if the rest of the media reacted the same way that Chris Cuomo reacted, we could turn down the temperature in this country. But because they refuse to do so, this is why the temperature is not turning down. In fact, it's continuing to turn up because the media is turning up. They're becoming more Trump deranged. They don't care. They don't give a damn. And that's just where we're at in this point in this country. That's where we're at. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.